Man, I wish I could read. What do you want now, Greg?
シリを上げて、ピクセルフィラメントのビデオを作らなきゃ。
Alright, hop behind the camera, we'll knock something out.
なぜ緑のテーブルクロスを天井にホチキス止めしているのですか？
What are you talking about? It's a green screen. We're gonna try new things.
これはひどいことになるだろ
Look, we're about to hit 1,000 subs. We need to up the production a little bit.
う。これは制作価値を高めていると思いますか？
Alright, if you want to do this differently, why don't you grow a pair of thumbs and make it yourself? Just operate the camera, make sure that I'm still in frame, and don't do anything stupid with the green screen. Hello and welcome to MindKits. You know, there's a lot of different plastics out there. PLA, PETG, ABS, and even some just absolutely bizarre esoteric polymers that you just have no idea what to do with. Everything from carbon fibers to glass fibers, carbon nanotubes. While doing research for this video, I found a urinal cake filament. If we get 500 likes on this video, I will review the urinal cake filament. And look, I get it, it's really overwhelming, and it's hard to know what's the right material for the right job. And as a result, you kind of just get stuck in place. PLA is your comfort zone, that's where you live, you print your craft fair slop, and that's you. But what if you want to go further? What if you actually want to try those new materials? Well, that's what I'm hopefully here to help you do. Welcome to my new series, Enough to be Dangerous, where I teach you enough to be dangerous about a material that you're not familiar with, its properties, maybe a bit of history, and we'll do a project together that makes best use of its properties. Alright, so without further ado, let's get into our first... Greg! I know what you're doing. Put the classroom graphic up. Alright, class is in session. Today we'll be talking about ABS. ABS, or... Actually, what does it stand for? Greg, do you know?
全くわからない。
You're about as much help as tits on a bull. Acrylonitrile butadiene. That is a popular plastic in the injection molding industries. But first, a little history lesson. ABS has been around a long time. It's the OG of 3D printing filaments. Way back in the Dark Ages, when 3D printers were made out of plywood, threaded rod, and suffering, ABS was the go-to filament. Right at the very beginning, it was the only filament you could actually get. And if you weren't one of the few that were fortunate enough to have access to Stratasys cartridges you could shuck, it just so happened that ABS welding rod worked good enough. God, it's actually unbelievable the shit we suffered through to get here. And I mean, look, it's an obvious choice. I mean, ABS is just all around us. You might know ABS plastic from f***ing everything. Just about anything you can think of, if it's plastic, there's a good chance it's made out of ABS. And there's a lot of good reasons to use ABS in the injection molding industry. It's really cheap. It flows really nicely in an injection mold. It's cheap. It's easy to mix a wide variety of colors. It's cheap. It releases really cleanly from an injection mold. Did I mention it's f***ing cheap? But just because a plastic is good in injection molding doesn't necessarily mean that translates over to printing. And that's really why people moved away from it so quickly. The slight shrinkage that ABS experiences really fights against itself when you're trying to print. The printer's basically constantly trying to tear itself apart on an open frame printer. One half of the print might be one temperature and one half might be a different temperature, and this can cause it to warp, crack, or just fall apart completely. Also, being in the styrene family, it does have an odor. It's quite a strong one. If you've ever smelt a plastic fire before, that's basically what ABS smells like. Right, so that's like a lot of drawbacks compared to PLA, so why would you ever want to use it? Well, there's actually a few good reasons. First of all, ABS has excellent thermal deflection, which means that it doesn't start to deform until much, much higher temperatures compared to PLA. Secondly, ABS is very strong. There's a reason that it's the go-to filament when you're building a Voron. And thirdly, ABS is really fast to print. If you've ever looked at a printer and wondered why the manufacturer's specifications don't line up with what the slicer's saying when it comes to flow rate, that's because they got those numbers printing ABS. ABS loves to be printed fast. Also, because it's a styrene-based plastic, we can use acetone to permanently weld parts together instead of around with glue. Heck, we can even smooth it with acetone vapor, which is a whole forbidden art within itself that we're not going to get into today, but I encourage you to look some videos up because it's really cool. Another big advantage to ABS filament is that it's really cheap compared to other filaments. And while only a few dollars difference compared to PLA doesn't make a world of difference, when you're printing something big that needs a lot of filament, it really starts to add up. Okay, so now we know a little bit about ABS. How do we print it? Well, first of all, you're going to need an enclosed printer. That is a non-negotiable. And not only that, you're going to need an enclosed printer that can reach at least 45 degrees Celsius in ambient temperature. There are a bunch of different ways you can reach this. You can set your bed to 100 degrees for about half an hour and let the chamber warm up that way. You could put the printer in an enclosure with a heater and do it that way. But the most ideal way is to have a printer with a heated enclosure. So it's for that reason that I'll be using the BambuLab H2D in today's demonstration. The BambuLab H2D has a lot of great things going for it that's going to help us with our project. It's got 2 hot ends, which means we can mix materials if we want. It's got a large build volume. It's an incredibly accurate machine. And most importantly, it's got a 65-degree chamber heater that we are going to seriously leverage. By the way, if you want one of those BambuLab H2Ds, we just happen to sell them on MindKits.co.nz. Why don't you go have a look? Right, so the machine's sorted. We're going to need some material. Now, luckily for us, polymer chemistry has come a long way since the Dark Ages. And while we could totally do this with just regular old vanilla ABS, we're going to be using the new Pixel Hyper ABS for its low odor and incredibly fast printing, which is going to let us crank out our parts really quickly. But parts for what? What are we going to be printing here? Well, let's go back over the positives of ABS. High heat tolerance. So, we could get away with sanding it. High strength, so we could print some parts with a bit lower infill. Acetone welding. Well, gee, that's going to come in handy if we have multiple parts we need to glue together. And the machine we chose has a large build volume, which is going to be ideal if we're printing big stuff. So what's something big that needs a lot of sanding, that comes in multiple parts, that needs to be glued together? What kind of project fits that bill? Yeah, if you hadn't figured it out already, we're going to be doing a cosplay prop. In my personal opinion, ABS is the perfect material for cosplay. But what exactly are we going to print? Well, come along with me, class. We're going on a field trip. Everybody brace for impact. I'm about to activate every millennial neuron in the room. Welcome to Azeroth. Welcome to World of Warcraft circa 2005. It's a great time. EverQuest has finally been dethroned. We're meeting new people and making new friends. And Blizzard hasn't f***ed everything up yet. And amongst all this questing and social interaction and fun, the real reason we were all here is for the loot. And my god, was there some loot! There were so many iconic weapons back in the day. Everyone had their favorite. Let me know what your favorite was in the comments. Did you like that? Did you like that call to action? Yeah, look at me, I'm a real YouTuber. And while you might be expecting me to say something like Thunder Fury, for me, the weapon that I always craved was Corrupted Ashbringer. A holy sword of the sacred paladin order, corrupted by the forces of the undead, to not just fight by their side, but lead them. I must have run Naxx 100 times. It never once dropped for me. So that's going to be our project today. 20 years later, I'm finally going to get my Corrupted Ashbringer. But look, I'll be honest, while this is all good in theory, I've never done a cosplay prop before, so I'm going to need to call in some expert help. So I jumped on a call with Matt from the Prop Circle in Blenheim. His company specializes in 3D printing movie props, replicas, all sorts. So if there was anyone that could validate my theories about ABS and give me some advice on how to do this, it was going to be him. Hello, Matt. How you doing?
Hey man, yeah, not too bad actually, pretty good.
I have some questions for you. I am
Go on.
making a prop for the first time. I've never done it before. I have ideas of how it might work. I just want to run this past you so that you can tell me whether or not what I'm doing is even feasible.
Go for it.
Okay, so ABS, about 2 meters-ish, maybe a little bit under. It's about 2 kilos of filament, and I'm planning on doing it with no infill. What do you reckon?
Have you ever 3D printed anything in your life?
Yes, but not props. Props is new. But I think it should be pretty easy, because like this is just like throwaway like craft store crap, right? So like you don't, it's pretty easy.
2 meters long with no info is insanity. I don't know where you're getting your information from, but that's just, no, it's not going to work.
So you're telling me there's a chance though that
I'm telling you there's a chance that you're gosh darn idiot.
Right, so with Matt's advice swiftly ignored, we push on. The first hurdle was choosing the right file. Corrupted Ashbringer is a 20-year-old game asset. While we could print the original, I'd like something with a little more, polygons. There's a bunch of different files to choose from, but thankfully, my search didn't take me very long after I found this incredible model for free on MakerWorld. With the files pretty much set up and ready to go for a bamboo machine, changing the filament profiles being the only bit of manual work I had to do, I opted to print these parts with lightning infill. That means that these parts are almost completely hollow. Because I did it this way, it only took me 2 rolls of filament to complete the entire project. And that filament, as discussed, was Pixel Hyper ABS in both grey and black, with a little bit of translucent green PETG for one part that I couldn't be f***ed painting. Now look, I know that you just looked at the print time on these files, and you're freaking out a little bit right now. Anything can happen on a long print, but the worst thing that could possibly happen to us is a part lifts off the bed. So it's for that reason that we're going to slather the bed in Magigoo bed adhesive. Magigoo is kind of our secret weapon here. While there's going to be a lot of boomers in the comments telling me that I don't need it and you just need to clean your bed properly, it just gives you that bit of added insurance. There is no shame in a bit of bed adhesive to make sure that your 18-hour print stays on the bed. But please comment anyway for engagement purposes. So with all the files sliced and sent off to the machine, it was just a matter of babysitting it for a week. And thanks to the heated chamber and the use of Magigoo, I only had 1 failure for the entire week.
We might have flown a little too close to the sun there, but most of it printed, so my ego remains unchallenged.
God, I literally cannot stop winning! So with all the parts printed and 10 quadrillion supports removed, it was time to start the assembly process. Now with a cosplay prop, we need to work as hard as we can to make it not look 3D printed. Layer lines are our enemy here. So I hopped back on the call with Matt to see what his thoughts were on this.
Alright, so the parts are done. They all printed successfully. 100% of them, every single one, totally fine. So what...
infill.
With no infill, no.
No wallpaper.
No, it's fine.
H2D is long ABS, no infill, no wallpaper.
Yeah, the H2D handled it fine. It was like PLA. I don't know what you guys are on about, seriously. It's like baby mode, really. But I got the parts. What's the next steps once I have my parts?
I still don't believe that you printed it, but let's say that you did, and it did go successfully.
I did.
Yeah. Attach it together and start sanding, and then keep sanding, and then maybe you can start thinking about paint.
Right. So only sand if I need to.
You will have to sand.
So the sanding is optional. You don't have to.
The sanding is not optional.
Yeah, that's what the filler primer is for, right? It fills the gaps, right? And then you don't have to sand.
Primer fills the gaps that don't get sanded out. The big gaps you still need to sand out. The small gap. Not know how many times I tell you that.
It says on the can that it fills the gaps though. So I good to not sand then, that's fine.
Do you want it to look like...
If I'm hearing this correctly, the sanding is optional.
The sanding is not optional.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you very much.
Thanks to my cursed print orientation, these files actually didn't really need any sanding at all. Armed with a can of trusty filler primer, I gave them 2 coats, and the layer lines basically disappeared. Yes, there were a few remaining, however, it's important when you're doing a project of this scale to pick your battles. I know that this sword is going on a wall where I will look at it from 5 feet, so if I don't get it perfect, it's okay. Once those 2 coats of filler primer had had time to dry, it was time to paint the parts their final colours. I opted to use some hammered finish paints from Rust-Oleum, as the added texture would hide any further print imperfections. Couple coats of that, and suddenly this was starting to look like something. Again, I just want to point out, this was ABS with almost no infill. I could not have done this without a printer like the H2D. With all the parts painted, it was time to go in and add some extra effects. With the help of an airbrush, a dot of white ink followed by a dot of green, I could add some glowing effects to all the skulls. Once that was complete, I wired in a few LEDs. With the wiring done, it was time for final assembly, and I'm not gonna lie, I was terrified. Okay, there's no putting it off anymore. All the parts are printed, primed, painted. I've done everything I can. I've done as much test fitting as I can. I've got a scalpel here in case it's too tight. I've got my jar of acetone to glue it together. I've got super glue for the parts that aren't ABS. No turning back now. This either works or it doesn't. Oh my god, I am terrified. Oh, I'm so scared. It's no big deal. It's just 3 weeks of your life that you'll never get back. Working very carefully with a paintbrush and a jar of acetone, these parts came together beautifully with only a few hiccups along the way. And just like that, it was done. The Corrupted Ashbringer was finally mine. Let's see what Matt has to say.
So I sent you some pictures of the finished blade. It came out perfectly, 100% perfectly, with nothing wrong whatsoever, and everything went fine. So I'll be honest, I don't understand why this is even a profession. It took like no time at all. That was actually way easy. I don't know what I was scared about. Like really, like it was. Once I got going, it's like there's no sanding. There was nothing, no infill, didn't need that. You know, the acetone, it all worked perfectly. Like, I think I've cracked the code on your guys' business, to be honest. I think I'm brilliant.
You know what I think?
What?
I think it's people like you that have come into this hobby with these fancy machines that have chamber heating, multiple nozzle, and you're just, oh, it's so easy. Yeah. Try using an ender. Try using an Anycubic Viper.
Yeah, but I don't have.
Come in here with your fancy tools and then complain that the job's easy.
Yeah, but I don't have to because I have the H2D because I'm not a poor person. So I can skip that. It's fine. Actually, I could just.
You know why I'm a poor person that can't afford an HPD? Because all of my time and all of my money is spent on sandpaper.
Yeah, you just grab one from MindKits.co.nz. That you get them there, and that is just fine. Then you don't have to do that anymore.
All those years wasted.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you have wasted the majority of your adult life. Yes.
I've seen what you've done, and it's got to be filters on it. And basically, I'm going to carry on the way I've always done with my layer lines, with my sandpaper, and I'm going to carry on being the professional that I am, not some kid with a toy. Oh, look, Mom, I got the HDD from the Apple Store.
I tuned out there for a minute, but just before we leave, on a scale of 1 to 10, how proud of me are you currently right now?
I'm just glad you're on a different island, and I can't swim because I want to wring your neck.
Wow, you too, Matt. So that's it. It's done. You know, I didn't really anticipate how much of an emotional investment this project was going to be. With ADHD, it's really hard to finish your projects. And if anyone else is in that same boat, they'll understand how big of a deal it is to do something like this. And having tools like the H2D and materials that are easy to work with, like Pixel, it eliminates those barriers that you have to finishing those projects. I can't even begin to tell you how rewarding it is to see this finished in my hands as a completed thing after looking at it on my bench as a box of parts for weeks. It's also emotional on another level because I wasn't just joking. I really did try very hard back in the day to get this weapon. And while it is just a weapon in a video game, I think a lot of other people can relate to this when I say that World of Warcraft back in the day was an escape, and I really treasure those memories. So this project was kind of a love letter to those times in a way, as well as just being an excuse to show you guys something you may not have tried before. The best part about this hobby is trying new things. So if you liked what you saw today, have a look at the H2D on our website, or give us a call if you've got questions. We're always here to help you. Check out Pixel Filaments. It's really good stuff. We worked really hard on it, and we've got a really cool rewards program to go along with it. And join our Discord, and, you know, if this video inspired you to give a project like this a go, please show it off in there. We love seeing stuff like that, and we love interacting with you guys. It's a really great community we've fostered, and we would love for you to be a part of it. Lastly, I'd just like to thank Matt from the Prop Circle for being such a good sport. Please go check him out if you haven't before. He does amazing work, and he's truly a master of his craft. Okay, that's all I have for you. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you liked it. Don't forget to tell me I'm fat and wrong if you didn't. And yeah, stay tuned for the next episode.